Honda knows exactly which heartstrings it's pulling at with this bike. The Honda CB1000F takes the silhouette and spirit from the iconic CB750F and CB900F and drags them firmly into 2026. Now the question I have is, have Honda created a future classic with this bike, or are they just cashing in on nostalgia? Let's give it a ride and find out. All right guys, here she is, Honda's CB1000F in the metal, and doesn't she look bonny, in my humble opinion, of course. Now, this bike retails from £10,599 and is available in 3 colour options. So you have this lovely silver with the blue, then you have this lovely silver but with grey. I'll pop a picture on the screen now so you can see that. And then perhaps my favourite is a black with red decals, and oh, to me that looks so mean. So starting with the bike, at the heart of course we have the engine, which is a Fireblade-derived inline-four 1000cc, but unlike the Hornet and the GT, it is down-tuned on power, so it is 122 brake horsepower at 9,000 RPM, and it produces 103 Newton meters of torque at 8,000 RPM. So that is what this engine looks like. Now, if we have a look at the brakes, we've got Nissin 4-piston radially mounted calipers, gripping onto 2 310mm discs. Then at the rear, we've got another Nissin caliper, and that is a 1-piston one, and it's attached to a 240mm disc. Now, this bike does have dual channel ABS, cornering ABS at that, because it does have a 6-axis IMU, so it's got all the cornering functions that an IMU allows. If we look at the suspension of this, we do have 41mm Showa split function forks, big piston at that, and we do have adjustability, as you guys can see there, and then we do have a link type shock as well, monoshock. So interesting things about this bike: the seat height, nice and low, so it's 795mm. Now, I am a 5'4" individual, or 162 centimetre individual, and my inseam is 29 inches or 73.66 centimetres, and this is what it's like for me to sit on this bike. As you can see, super low, super accessible. Now, the weight of this bike, 214 kg wet, and the tank size is 16 litres. Now, I love this tank shape, do you? It's like quite boxy, and it's very reminiscent of the bikes that this is kind of inspired by and based on. Now, I know I mentioned that this bike starts from £10,599, but what you see here is actually £11,733 because it's spec'd with a £990 sport package. Now, what do you get in that sport package, you ask? Well, you get these grippy stickers that are see-through, so they don't spoil the flow of the design. You get this rad guard as standard, not as standard, with the pack. So that's included. You get this, crash bars for the engine. What else do you get? You get this HRC red oil filler cap, and you also get something that's not included as standard, which actually shocked me, I didn't realise: quickshifter and autoblipper. So if you, and not forgetting this, the main event actually, the nose cone. The sporty nose cone. Now, obviously, if you get the black bike, you get it in black. You're not forced to stick a silver one on. But yeah, you get that as well, because you can get this bike without this, and I'll pop a picture on the screen now to show you what that bike looks like. But Of course, if you don't want everything that pack has, say you just wanted a quickshifter and autoblipper, for example, you can buy that separately, so you're not forced just to get that package. Right, now that we've had a look round it, I think I've mentioned everything I need to. In fact, no, we'll have a quick look at the dash. Now this is a point of contention, I do believe, for a lot of people. You guys wanted a proper retro, twin clock, analog dash, and I do understand it from a consumer point of view. I get it from Honda's point of view as well, to keep it in line as a modern update with the rest of this 1000cc platform, or Hornet platform. So as you can see, you've got your modes here. It's currently in sport mode. You can press it, have rain. We can have user 1, user 2, standard, and then back in sport. You've got your range there, what gear you're in, quick shifter, you've got your revs. If you want to change the display, you can go to the settings. You can go to display, display type. You've got the choice of circle, bar, or simple. I think we might go for bar actually. See what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. And again, you can just go into this, select your riding modes, and again with the user mode you can fine tune power, engine braking, or Honda's selectable torque control, which is traction control to me and thee. So yeah, there's lots of customization with this bike. But I think now it's time to get on this beauty and give it a ride. Right team, you wouldn't believe that I've actually done 150 miles on this bike already. A full day of filming in Lincolnshire. It was like a 300-mile round trip, and I'm swapping between this and the GT, and I get home after a super successful day and my audio is completely dead. It's corrupted. It's like red writing all over it when I try and open it. Gone. Just nowhere to be seen. So absolutely tragic. And do you know what? The moment I think might have killed it is when I was doing a sound test on this bike, because it sounds freaking ruckus. And I literally revved it and it like backfired, and I think it was too much for the microphone, and then it just flummoxed the audio for the whole day up to that point. So I'm back out on it, but thankfully and luckily for you, as somebody who wants to know about this bike, I have done a lot of motorway miles, I've done a lot of town work, and I've done a lot of twisties already. So for the sake of keeping you guys engaged, I'm going over Rivington because that's got some twisty roads. But I am going to talk to you about some things that I have found with this bike. So when I first went out on it, there was about 2 hours 20 on the motorway. So riding this, I got rained on a little bit. Did I have any protection from the elements? No, had nothing. Mike, on the other hand, who was on the GT, was like, oh, do you want to swap, because I've got heated grips and my legs are dry completely on my body. I was like, it's okay, I'll just I need to put miles on this to see how it copes on the motorway. So that was my plan. So it's nice on the motorway. Me and Mike did legal speeds, of course, all the way to Lincolnshire. I'm not just like wink wink nudge nudge, we actually did. We were very, very well behaved, as we should be. And I started to struggle with my right hand. The vibrations on the F seem worse to me than they do on the GT. And by the time we got off the motorway and I was reaching my 2 fingers out to pull my brake in, I felt like my 2 fingers had gone to sleep. So stopping the bike when my fingers aren't working, it was a bit of an effort, to be honest. But that was after an hour and 15 minutes on the motorway. I have to say, when you're on the twisties and you're flicking it round, because obviously we pulled up for some food straight after that experience, and then when we got back on it and we were doing twisties and the town part of it, there wasn't any problems with my fingers, and I could just function like a normal human being functions. So yeah, that's my honest opinion of the motorway. Yeah, so this screen, this sports cowl, the screen that's on this, actually did a pretty fantastic job, you know, of making it so that the motorway journey was comfortable. It wasn't like directing the wind in any funny kind of way. It was just kind of almost like clean air hitting you, but just a bit more pressure off you, and I liked it a lot, so that was good. It got points for that. Obviously no cruise control with this, which again I'm not even sure if it's an option. I'll pop on the screen now whether it is an option or not, but I don't think it is. But I feel like it should be, really, because you know, people still want to travel a little bit, and also I feel like that could help with the vibration fatigue as well of that right hand if it did have cruise control, but it doesn't. Anyway, we're about to hit the twisties, so I'm going to stop moaning, but I already know how wicked this bike is on the twisties, and oh, it sounds amazing, it rides beautifully, you know, even though it's 122 brake horsepower compared to the 147.6 of the GT, the 150 of the Hornet and the 155 of the Hornet SP, you know, you don't feel like you miss it because it is tuned for, you know, a proper grunty experience. And honestly, the acceleration of this does feel a little bit faster, you know, than what it's rocking. So yeah, no complaints there. I think it's just like power snobs that will be offended at that, but who cares about the power when it still feels pretty ballistic. Another thing, the suspension on this so much comfier than on the Hornet. Honestly, it's a lot softer, and it does just feel like it suits this kind of bike. Now, up gravel, we don't like that. Obviously, if you're pushing on, you probably would benefit from like Hornet suspension, as I found out at Takasu Proving Ground when I was being a test rider for the day, because they actually swapped the linkage on this bike for a Hornet one. And then we went on a part of the proving ground that simulated the Nürburgring, so it was a bit of a wild ride, to be honest, and the one that had the Hornet linkage and shock definitely felt more composed and stable and absolutely thrashing on. Having said that, you know, we're doing legal speeds, we're having some fun up here. The suspension's plush and the suspension's quite, you know, forgiving and bouncy, but it's also not getting bent out of shape. So, you know, it was getting a little bit bent out of shape on the proving ground. Well, that's because we were doing speeds that you can't legally do in the UK at any point unless you're on a track, because you're absolutely spanking it. The quickshifter and autoblipper on this, I don't think it's as smooth as on the Hornet, weirdly. I had a few times where I accelerated in Lincolnshire, and even though I don't have the sound, I might be able to find the footage and insert it now, because I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see with your eyes the kind of visual delay and lag that it had, and that was under load because I was dropping down to like a second gear 30 and then just shifting up to the final 6th gear, accelerating as hard as I wanted to on the roads of Lincolnshire. But as you can see, it can handle the twisties absolutely fine. The brakes are brilliant as well. No complaints with those Nissan brakes, you know. So one of the things that's pretty nice about this bike is the sound of it. Now, Honda have messed around with the air funnels of this bike, so it's different from the likes of the GT and the Hornet, in a way that it's got asymmetrical funnel, air funnel sizes. So you've got 2 at 40mm and you've got 2 at 50mm, and because of that, Honda say that it creates like a beating heart pulsing sensation. But after swapping between the GT and the F, I am happy to report that this does actually sound quite a bit different from the bikes that have the symmetrical, standardised intakes. It sounds fantastic. Oh! And it does give you a different feeling to when you're riding a Hornet or, say, a GT. It does just give you that lovely naked roadster classic retro feel. Not in terms of engine performance and smoothness and slickness, of course, because the bikes of the eras gone by, you know, nothing was as smooth and refined as these bad boys, just because of how technology's advanced and progressed. But it is a lovely modern take. in my opinion, of those machines. And it does look the dog's danglies, doesn't it? Do you agree? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below if you think that, because I do think it looks pretty nice. Oh my gosh, and one thing I need to report to you guys on 100% is the comfort of this seat. Wow, wow, wow. The seat of this shouldn't be more comfortable than the GT standard seat, should it? It shouldn't. That's a sports tourer. This seat, oh my gosh, fantastic. Now, weirdly enough, they do have a comfort package, right, which is £570, and that includes a comfort seat. Now, to me, I don't actually know if it's possible for this bike to get more comfortable, because it's just absolutely wonderful. I had, 150 miles riding this bike, and my bum was completely happy the whole ride through. Oh, it's absolutely great. So with the comfort package, you get the comfort seat, you get a tank pad, and you get heated grips. And to be honest, I could have used the heated grips because it was a bit chilly when I did those miles. But for me, I think I would just personally buy the heated grips and maybe the tank pad, because I don't really feel like the comfort seat's necessary. Let's give the biker a wave. Yes, I got a nod from him. What a guy. Let's give this one a wave. Yes, another nod. Then, for £100 more, at £670, they do a travel pack. Now, the travel pack comes with a tank bag, a big one, and panniers, and it comes with all the racking and stuff like that for £670. But this is what it looks like with that pack on. Now, what do you guys think of that? I don't really feel like it goes with the bike, personally. But it's not to my taste. Is it to your taste? Let me know. I do wish to find out. But yeah, another thing I found with this bike is, weirdly, compared to the GT, the throttle at low town speeds can feel a bit snatchy. Like, I've tried putting it in standard mode and rain mode, and I do just still feel it. So yeah, I've had a flipping fantastic time riding this bike across those few days. I've mentioned how it feels on the motorway, I've mentioned how it feels at town speeds, and hopefully I've demonstrated how it is on twisties. Pretty ruddy good, in my opinion. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that I could possibly just throw in before we go to our outro. Maybe that we've got LED lights all round. It does have the emergency brake lights, so they do start flashing the tatties off if it detects heavy braking. We've got self-cancelling indicators. Right team, I'll take you to my outro. Oh, before I forget and before I actually go, I love the horns, because it's the twin horns at the front underneath the headlight, and it's just reminiscent of the older bikes that I mentioned earlier on. And I think it's really cool, and they have a dual tone to them, so it kind of gives like a noise, which I'll show you now. Anyway, now that's been covered, I'll take you to the outro. Right team, well, I'm back in from riding Honda's CB1000F Take 2. As you know, I've been out on this already and done a lot of miles, but I'm back after a little stint up Rivington, and it's just reaffirmed my thoughts on this bike. Now, the question that I had at the intro was, is this like a genuinely good attempt at a modern classic, or is it just Honda cashing in on kind of the retro nostalgia trend? And of course, I think it's a little bit of both, because Honda have done a really, really good job with this bike. They've stayed quite true to the styling as best they can, whilst also trying to utilise like a certain platform like the CB1000 GT, the Hornet, now you've got the F. You know, there are some things that are going to be similar, and that can't be helped because it's based off the Hornet. But I think they've done a great job at interpreting, you know, what a customer would want out of this bike, in the sense of the nice boxy back end, the really square but super comfy and plush seat, the really kind of soft suspension for the unassuming you know, a gentleman or gentle lady that wants to take one of these bikes out and not absolutely honk it around as fast as they can, but someone that can just appreciate the country roads in comfort. I like the fact that the twin horn at the front with the sound that it makes. You know, these are just little touches that show Honda have actually genuinely thought about what you guys want. And when it comes to are they cashing in on the nostalgia retro trend, I mean, they're a business and they've got to expand model ranges and keep themselves relevant, and there's a reason why they are the #1 motorcycle brand in the world, and it's because they do this. So yeah, I think the CB1000F is a super addition to the range. I think it's a lovely bike that offers the customer something different enough from the GT and the Hornet, and something that out of all those bikes has the most soul and character and really, really makes you smile. So yeah, I just think it's a lovely bike. Of course, I've got my pros and I've got my cons, which I'll pop on the screen now, because there are a few cons to this bike. Like, I can't shy away from it, but I do definitely think that the pros certainly outweigh them. But it is something to be mindful of if you are thinking about this bike and considering it. Right, well, I hope you have enjoyed this review. I've enjoyed filming it, and I'll catch you all on the next one. See you later. Bye.